Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done. There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Christopher Media, let's make some noise. Welcome to Beer Nuts, a weekly excursion into the world of craft beer, brought to you by MichiganBeerGuide.com. And now, here are the Beer Nuts.
Beer Nuts number 161. Oh, everybody's back together because we can't go anywhere. I'm Chris, and I am in St. Clair Shores, Michigan.
JR here. I'm out west in Tucson, Arizona.
This is William in Durham, North Carolina.
And Ross in Durham, North Carolina as well.
Greg here in Dearborn, Michigan.
Doug out here in Clawson, Michigan.
You got Steve in Los Angeles.
So that's it. We have a big show planned tonight. And the theme of today's show is March Meadness. That's right. Waited a long time since our last Mead episode. So March Meadness number 2. There may not be a March Madness this year, but there is a March Meadness. So we're going to learn a lot about mead because we have at least one guest mead maker, potentially a second one, hopefully later in the show joining us. So we're going to first invite everybody to crack open hopefully you have access to some mead. If you don't, a beer is fine. Crack open a beverage that you enjoy, and we're going to go around and have each beer nut review a mead. But before that, we're going to introduce William from Durham, and he's going to educate us on mead. He's a mead maker down in North Carolina. So I'm just going to turn it right over to William, the expert, and he'll tell you about his meadery and educate us a little bit about mead. So welcome, William. We're really happy to have you as our guest today.
I really appreciate y'all having me on here. Absolutely. It's going to be a fun show, I think. So I am a mead maker in Durham, North Carolina. I've been making mead for about, let me do the math on that. Okay. About 10 years now. I actually started in my dorm room at Chapel Hill when I was an undergrad there. So that's kind of a fun little beginning for mead, for me. And since then, I just kind of did it as a little hobby. And about 2 years ago, I was contacted by someone out in Chapel Hill, actually, and they wanted me to build a mead brand out there that was called the Honeysuckle, and it's the Honeysuckle Tea House, if anybody knows what that is. And they got a fun little, probably 10 acres out there, and they do education about land. 50% of the profits go towards towards land conservation out there. So they wanted to build up a brand of mead from the products they have on their farm. So I helped build their brand out there for about a year, and we did 10 different meads out there. And then I found that there was a position at Honey Girl in Durham, and I've known Diane Courier, the owner there, for at least it's been about 5 years now. So when I found that was an assistant mead maker position over there, I really wanted to jump on it. It was a lot closer to my house and in Durham, and I also really love working with Diane. She's been kind of my mead mentor, so to speak. So it's been, a really fun and long journey to get to where I am right now as the assistant out at Honey Girl Meadery. So if we're talking about mead right now, I am enjoying a new one that we just did It's actually maple wood, so it's a dark wildflower honey. It's a mead that aged for 2 years, and we then put French oak in it for about 3 months to give it some of that vanillin and some of that tannin from the oak. And we added some maple syrup from Pennsylvania and from Maryland as well. So it's this really dark maple syrup note that you get from it. It's very good. So if y'all have questions, I would love to talk about the mead making process and answer any particulars about that.
Before we know, right? It's fermented honey, right? It's the base question. Fermented honey, and correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So for something to be called a mead or a honey wine, 51% of the fermentable sugar has to come from honey. And in most cases, it's usually higher than that. It's usually like 80 to 90%. And the rest comes from, if it's a melomel, which is what's called a melomel is a fruited mead. So it has like blueberries or blackberries or black currants, different kinds of fruit in it. There might be some fruit sugar, but the primary is mostly honey. Yeah, that's correct. And so what you have to do, of course, with honey, you have to dilute it down because it's just there's so much sugar that yeast cannot ferment properly. So you have to do probably 1 part honey to about 4 parts water is what we typically stick to. And that usually gets us to about a 10 to 12% alcohol product. So very similar to your standard wine ABV. And that process usually takes anywhere from 3 months to some meads take up to 2 years, like this Maplewood I'm drinking right now.
I have a question, William. I know many of us here on the show live in Michigan, or in my case, have lived in Michigan. And a lot of the most popular meads up in that neck of the woods are the melomels, the dark fruited ones. You know, your berry flavored ones, black currants. So I just wanted to ask you, does your meadery, do you have like what's your best seller or your most well received? Maybe it's a different clientele there, or are the melomels real popular with your clients?
Yeah, great question. Absolutely. So, of course, you guys up there, and of course, especially in Ferndale, you have Ken Schramm. 2013 he opened up Schramm's, and since then he's made some absolutely delicious meads. And The Complete Mead Maker is a great book. It's the one that he wrote. And I would say it's the mead maker's Bible at this point. Everyone's read it who's in the industry. He knows how to do some really good, heavily fruited meads. Everything he makes is fantastic. So for us, when Diane started Honey Girl Meadery, the thing that happened for her was she was hiking in Alaska. She went through a field of what's called fireweed flowers, and this is like really small pink blossom. She went to a meadery later that day after her hike, and one of the meads they had on tap was a fireweed mead. So it was a mead made from those flowers from that field. And it really struck her as significant. So her whole thing was that she really wanted to do kind of a drink the field idea, putting that in quotes. So it's like we have a lot of really very floral meads that kind of are on the dry to maybe semi-sweet. None of ours get too sweet and too heavily fruited. We do have some melomels that are very popular, like our blueberry, but it's much lighter than the fruit bombs that you're getting from Garage East or from Schramm's or Pips, those guys. And for us, I think one of our really popular ones, the kind of the one that got us on the map, is our flagship, and that's Hibiscus Lemon Thyme. So it has that tartness from that hibiscus, and we're just taking those flowers, putting them in the mead. It adds this beautiful kind of darkish red color to it. And then the lemon thyme adds this little herbaceous note at the end. It's a very dry mead, but it really plays well with that wildflower honey we're using. And it brings really a lot of floral notes. And it's, like I said, it's quite dry. So our clients love it. And I think a lot of mead in North Carolina tends towards the drier. You got some great folks here in North Carolina. You got Alchemy. Griffin, she's doing awesome work balancing all sorts of different herbs and spices in her meads. We've got Starlight. Starlight does excellent work. Ben is a master palate. He does everything from dry to fairly sweet stuff, but everything is very well balanced. So yeah, we got some really good mead out here. I think we're really proud of it.
All right. Should we start drinking some mead?
Oh, I already started. Hold on. What are y'all doing?
So we were discussing earlier, maybe one thing we can do just as a little bit of prep before we really start describing the meads we're drinking is talk a little bit about the differences between tasting a mead and describing a mead and describing a beer. I think most of the people that listen to this podcast are used to people describing the beers on here, but mead's a little different. I guess, description idea from beer. So maybe you could discuss that a little bit before we get started.
Yeah, sure thing. Absolutely. So I also love beer, of course. I don't think I know nearly as much as you guys do about it, but I do, love the stuff just like I love mead, but it is different, right? So mead can be, in that 5 to 7% alcohol range, but typically it's in the 12 to 14%. Some of the Polish styles go higher, maybe up to 18 or even 20%. And of course, associated with that, you got like your imperial stouts that come in at 12%, but those are typically carbonated, where mead is typically a still product. And when I say that, I mean it doesn't have that carbonation in it like you'd expect from a beer. So it's more like a wine, I would say, and it doesn't have the same bite or the same tannin as a wine does. So when you drink a red wine, that your tongue kind of gets a little dry and maybe it sticks to the roof of your mouth. That's what us winemakers call tannins. And mead, of course, made from honey, doesn't have tannin from the grape skins that wine gets. So we can add them through adding tannins and tannin powder, or we can add those fruits that will give that structure to it. But in general, when we talk about a mead, we talk about its sweetness level. We talk about the clarity of it. We talk about the acidity of it. And that's about it. Some meads are carbonated or lightly carbonated, but those are typically the things we talk about. So when I was saying earlier, dry to semi-sweet, what I meant to say was a lot of our wines don't have a lot of residual sugar in them. So there's not a lot of that cloying sweetness that you might even associate. A lot of people associate that cloying sweetness with mead because they've been to the Ren Fair and they've had that mead they added honey to, and it's super sweet. And like you were saying with fruit bombs and really, really heavily fruited meads, those are typically more sweet because it helps to balance the acidity or the tannin in a mead. So those are kind of some of the terminologies that we use. And I can go into any of those in detail if you have any questions about the specifics of them.
Well, I guess my question is, so when tasting a mead, what are we looking for? There's obviously different things we're looking for than when tasting a beer.
Right. So with mead, you do want to balance any residual sweetness with that acidity. It's kind of the counterbalance to it. If something just has too much sugar, you're going to want to look for those acids to balance it. In general, you're going to want to look for, if it says blueberry, you're going to want to look for that blueberry flavor. And typically it's more pronounced. It's not as nuanced as I would say with some beers. I mean, I know I've had beers where it's like, this has blueberries or black currants or what have you, and it's a very subtle note. Typically in mead, a lot of the market tends towards really pronouncing those little notes of things. Like if it says it's got black currants, you're really going to get try a Black Agnes from Schramm's. You're going to get black currant in that palate very strongly.
So subtlety and mead don't go hand in hand?
It can. And for Honey Girl, it really, we do play with subtle floral nuanced flavors, and I think that works for that particular style. But again, that's more of a dry or semi-sweet But with your heavier fruited, and typically the ones that you would get at like a bottle share, what you're gonna have there is gonna be like your Gara Geest in Tampa, or your Pips, or Shrams or Superstition, those kind of folks that make those really heavily fruited, pretty sweet meads. And you don't really want to have more than 2 or 3 ounces because it is a really heavy product. So mead, it's very hard to say what you're looking for in it because it's such a varied category of flavors. You can have melomels, which are those fruited meads. You can do spiced meads. So we have like a spiced apple at Honey Girl, and that has Vietnamese cinnamon in it. It's got a little bit of nutmeg, and it comes through like an apple pie. You can have a traditional, which is just honey, water, and yeast. And in that case, you're just looking for the particular flavors of that honey varietal. So there's so many different things you can play with honey. We even have a spiced one. We have a mango habanero, a strawbanero, which I think Ross was gonna review the strawbanero. I don't mean to give away some spoilers here, but and we also have cranberry orange habanero. So there's so many different flavors. That's the beauty of mead, is the versatility.
All right. Great information. Really excited about those meads that you make there. And Russ, you'll have to hook me up next time we exchange gifts, so to speak. So I guess, Russ, I think you're up. Are you going to review one of William's meads?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot here. Like I said, this is going to be more about what I'm experiencing than I think a proper mead taster would describe it. But
that's all right. You know what? There's a couple things. Number one, there's no rules, just right. And number two, it's our show, and we'll do what we want. So, no standard process here. Just taste it. Tell us what you think about it.
So what I have here is the Strawbanero mead. It's a honey orange strawberry with habanero peppers, 12.5%, and I just poured a little bit out of my glass, and it's got a nice kind of somewhere between light orange and pinkish color to it. Maybe a little bit more on the orange side. My light in my office here is a little bit funny. So we have. So I first had this, I guess, probably a little over a year ago, I guess. And when I first went to Honey Girl to try different meads, like I said, my first non-really sweet heavy mead was there. It was my first time experiencing any kind of dry or semi-sweet meads at all, and this one stuck out to me as something that was really different. It's got the habaneros in it, so it's fairly spicy, or well, not fairly spicy, but it's got a little bit of a kick to it after the initial taste. So on the nose, there's definitely a lot of strawberry, and that comes through very clear. I guess for me, it's kind of overwhelms anything else that might be there. Now there's a little bit of, you can get the pepper a little bit on the end. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and taste this now. And yeah, so it's definitely that very nice, lightly sweet taste. It's got strawberries, and then you immediately get the pepper warm up there. It's not overly hot or anything. I don't think it's anything that would make anybody uncomfortable. I know we have a couple of different beers here in North Carolina where they kick up the heat, and this is not on that level. This is simply just warm you up for a few seconds and then slowly fade away. But the pepper taste is definitely there as it fades. Yeah, so you get strawberry right away, and then a little pepper as it's fading, and just a smidgen of the orange taste is in there as well. It's not. I guess I'm not nuanced enough to get the acidity characteristics out of it. It's just got a nicely sweet taste to me, and
Ross, I'm curious, man.
And it lingers a little bit. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Are you okay? So a lot of people say this to me about the habanero. It's they say that they get a little bit almost a smoky flavor from those habanero peppers, and it's not present in the mango habanero, which is a very similarly made product. I want to see if you got any of that.
I'm really not. No, I don't get the smoke out of this. I would have noted that because I certainly look for that in some of the beers that I've had, and yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah, I gotcha. It's like some people will say it, and then like some people don't pick up on it, and so I was just curious.
Yep, it's not standing out for me. I like it. I especially like the way it heats up, but it's not something that's, like obnoxiously sticking with you for a couple of minutes or anything. It stays there for 10 or 15 seconds and then slowly fades out. That's what I look for sometimes, or a lot of the time when I want a little bite out of something, and that's definitely what this is doing. All in all, I like this, but I already knew I was going to like it because I've had it before. And yeah, so this is I guess this is, I don't know how much of a go-to this is for people, but this and that spiced apple cider that I had last time were certainly the two that really stood out to me as ones that I would seek out again. I think earlier tonight I let my wife try a little bit of this. She's more of a wine person. The pepper was a little much for her. She doesn't want that heat and stuff she's drinking. So I think maybe I need to circle back and get her some of the regular strawberry or maybe the strawberry vanilla and see how she likes that.
I was going to ask if she liked vanilla because the strawberry vanilla is very good.
And so I'll have to circle back and get a bottle of that for her next time. But otherwise, meads and ciders are usually things that we can agree on to drink together. Otherwise, it's kind of a little bit divided. I do beer and she does wine. So, but yeah, this is really good. I love it. What's on the label definitely describes what you're getting on the smell and the taste, and it's kind of what that's kind of what I look for, is to be able to read the description and get that out of what I'm drinking, and that's what's happening here. This is really good. I like it.
I appreciate that, man.
Hey, this is Michael. I had a quick question. Sorry to chime in. When you made the comment about the smokiness, the question I have is, on the habaneros, are you putting those in primary or secondary?
Yeah, so they go in after the fermentation's finished. So yeah, secondary fermentation on those peppers.
Okay. The only reason I say that, I'm at the meeting room. I'm the mead maker there, and so I have noticed that the smokiness will normally come when I put the peppers in primary for some reason, and I don't know if that was maybe something why people were kind of picking up on that.
Yeah, no, but that's interesting. I'll have to try that at some point. We might be doing another batch of cranberry orange habanero soon. So, but what's funny is I did the same exact process for our mango habanero, right? And in that one, I don't get some people tell me when they get that smokiness, so it's not present for that one. So I don't know. We're going to have to keep digging to see.
Well, everybody knows, most of you know that I love stuff with hot peppers in it. So I know it's probably not as hot as I would like it, but I like anything with peppers in it. So this sounds like fantastic for me. So next time you make a pepper mead, let Ross know, and I'll have him set one aside for me.
I'll be sure to do that. Absolutely.
That is in my wheelhouse, not in all beverages. I also enjoy a large collection of hot sauces. But okay, yeah, and I didn't really get a chance to opportunity to introduce Michael, but he just chimed in with that question. So Michael is with us from the meeting room, and later in the show we'll be reviewing one or more of his meads and give him an opportunity to chime in. But obviously, Michael, welcome, and you're welcome to join the conversation at any time. It's not often that we have not one but two distinguished mead makers on the show, so welcome to you both, and we're really happy to have you.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Looking to kick old habits to the curb? #1 New York Times bestselling author Jen Sincero gets to the core of habit transformation in Badass Habits. Whether you need to break them, make them, understand them, or stick to them, Badass Habits shows you how in a simple 21-day guide. Featuring Jen's hilarious voice, Badass Habits offers a much-needed fresh take on conventional wisdom. Badass Habits, with audiobook read by the author, is now available wherever books and audiobooks are sold.
This podcast is brought to you by Ragu Old World Style Traditional Sauce. A great sauce starts with the best ingredients. Ragu Old World Style Traditional Sauce is that great sauce. Inspired by our founder's original recipe, Ragu Old World Style Traditional Sauce is made with delicious ingredients, including vine-ripened tomatoes, chopped onions, garlic, and olive oil, simmered together for the authentic taste you and your family will want to come back to. For recipes, sauces, and mealtime inspiration, visit ragu.com.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The Name Your Price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new. Our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth, and always open at homedepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
ChristopherMedia.net.
So I think now I think we're going back up to Michigan. I think, Chris, you're next to review the next mead. So take it away.
I have an offering from Bee Nectar. I believe one of the meaderies up here everybody talks about. I have New Wave Lemonade. It says it's a mead with blueberry and lemon. I've been drinking ahead. I can't lie. It's 6.1 ABV. And let's get to this thing here. I mean, you put your nose in it. I'm smelling blueberry and honey. I mean, I'm getting more honey than blueberry, but yeah, you sniff it and that's what you get. The color, it's kind of somewhere between pink and peach, and there's a few little tiny bubbles in it, but yeah, it's not sparkling by any means. You take that sip of it, you're getting right at the front. You're getting the blueberry, you're getting the honey, and then as it rolls to the back of your tongue, the more of the blueberry, and then right at the end, that lemon pops in there. I mean, this is very refreshing. This is, and I hear what you're saying, William, about how it seems like you got to balance out the sweetness with some tartness. That seems like that is exactly what this is doing. I mean, Bee Nectar's, it's pretty solid around here. It's got a solid reputation. I don't know if any of you guys have had this, but the New Wave Lemonade Bee Nectar, this is a home run right here.
I love the label. It's such a cool label on that mead.
Yeah, with the sunglasses, and it's got the leather jacket with the buttons on it. Yeah, this is good stuff. And it's at 6.1. You can have a glass, and it's not going to knock you on your butt.
Blueberry lemonade is such a perfect flavor pairing for us mead makers. We love it. I think of Lost Cause, which is out in California. Billy Bell's over there. He does a beautiful blueberry lemonade, and I think it's a little higher BV, but I've had both of them in there, and the one you're describing does have that subtle lemon. It's very good too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Who is next?
Oh yeah. Well, before we go to Dugout, we're going to go back to William, because I think William's had a couple meads he wanted to taste for us. Are you up for that, William?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, absolutely. I have some fun ones here, and I want to feature a couple things here, because I think that professionally there's a lot of really good mead makers out there, but the amateur scene is incredible. At least in North Carolina, I know that we have some awesome people. The next one I have it's kind of funny. It's a family story here. This is actually, the next one I'm drinking is a mead that my mom made. It was her first mead she ever made. And she got best of show in the 2019 State Fair at North Carolina for this mead. So Really wanted to feature that one. It's a lovely little black and red currant mead with orange blossom honey. It's called Current Situation. It's just a really fun one. This is one of those fruit bombs. That's another reason I wanted to feature it, because it's very fruit heavy. It has about 4 pounds per gallon of black and red currants. And so those are super dark fruits. They have a lot of flavor. If you've had a black currant, it's just almost kind of blackberry earthy, really, really filling on the palate. And red currant is almost like a pomegranate and almost like a cranberry, I would say. And so the two balance really well, and especially in my findings with orange blossom honey. So this one I would say is a fairly sweet mead, and that's just to balance the acidity from those red currants. Trying it now, I get a little bit of a raisin note, and that I think is a little bit from oxidization. I know that in beer you have to kind of work against oxidization. It can kind of give a cardboardy taste, but in this case, it gives a little bit of a raisin note to it, which is kind of interesting, trying it for the first time in like a couple months. So this one's just a cute little, love my mom. She did it. She did amazing. She won Best of Show for amateur wine, and I just wanted to feature that for her.
Totally cool.
So I had a question. Do you get any the orange blossom aromas from that, or do the berries just kind of overpower it?
No, you do. Yeah, absolutely. And you have to worry as a mead maker, because in many cases when you have a dark fruit mead, it can just overpower whatever varietal of honey you use. And there are so many varieties of honey that you can use. In this case, orange blossom, it really lends a citrus note to it. It's so funny, just those bees going out and collecting that pollen from those orange groves and bringing it back and making honey out of it. It really has that citrus to it.
Interesting. So is that Florida orange blossom, or is that California?
Yeah. So this is from Dutch Gold in Pennsylvania. So they are a honey broker. A lot of mead makers use them. They're true source verified, so the honey can be verified back to its source. In this case, it's a mix of California, Florida, and Brazilian honey that orange blossom's coming from. But honey varietals, I should have gone over this, and Mike, you could talk about this later, of course. And just there's so many different varietals of honey, right? So Meadowfoam is like this. It tastes like a marshmallow, but it's just coming from that honey. That's another thing that us mead makers really try to look for is really good honey notes. And in this case, it does come through very well.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. And we're going to go to Dugout next, but William, stand by. If you got a couple more, we'll make time for you.
I might have just a few more, but we can always make time.
Hey, the more the merrier. All right. Time for Dugout in Clawson, Michigan.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us, guys. Being in part of Michigan I am close to several outstanding world-class meaderies. And I know Schramm's was mentioned, and, Bee Nectar was mentioned. And then we also have Kunin, which makes some outstanding meads. And we did have Sellerman's, but they're no longer with us. And then a few other meads in the area here. So we're spoiled, big time spoiled. I brought together, Schramm's was mentioned. The last episode we did on mead, I did not have any Schramm's, and I caught some flack for it. So this time I decided to pull a bottle, and it's their cranberry mead, which I believe came from you, JR, one of your club membership. And this one is quite highly sought after. This one's a little low in ABV for Schramm's. It's coming in at about 8%, where usually he's at about the 14% range. So a little more of a sessionable mead as far as that goes. So it pours just this beautiful cranberry red. I mean, it looks like cranberry juice cocktail. Just dead on. It's a still mead, so no carbonation in it. In the nose, you get a lot of that beautiful Schramm's honey, and you get some cranberry in there as well. It's almost like a cranberry orange mixture on the nose. And sample this out. Boy, we've got a beautiful balance of sweetness to tartness. I was a little worried on this because I can have some issues with how acidic things are, and some meads for me can be over the top acidic and not agree with me very well. This one just falls right into that perfect category of sweet to tart balance. The cranberry comes through beautifully. There's some earthiness to it. Again, I get a little more of a orange zest flavor, whether that's just something in my imagination or if that's actually an ingredient. I'm not sure, but it's definitely there present as a flavor. Now, when I mentioned sweetness on this one, it's a lot less sweet than typical Schramm's meads. So if you have a statement or if you have a raspberry, you're going to find those almost, dessert type sweetness, where this one it backs off it a little bit more. And I think that's to balance out the tartness of the cranberries. This mead's outstanding. I mean, I've never had anything bad from them. There's some that I like more than others. And I know that, some people are not so high up on the nutmeg mead, although I happen to like that one quite a bit. But it's such a treat to be able to just go over there and have a few, or some of our local grocers and bottle shops carry it. So there seems to be quite a bit around these days, where in the past it was, you had to do a little searching to kind of dig up a bottle or two. We've always seemed to get our hands on it, but some people just have a little bit of an issue trying to find some. And I'd like to go back to the mead in this area. Also spawned some incredible amateur mead makers. I mean, in my brew club alone, there's at least 5 that have garnered national medals, including one, and her name's Amy Olson, who was in the Zymergy magazine. They just clean up on these mead competitions, and some of the stuff that gets brought to our clubs to share out is every bit as good as what I've had on the commercial market, and sometimes even better. So, like I said, we're spoiled here. We've got our choice of many things, and B Nectar makes some incredibly innovative products, not just meads, but their sizers and their combinations just come across so well and drink so well, but they're so like, how do you even think of this stuff? Some of the combinations they have. So I'm happy to have it all right in my backyard.
Amen.
Yeah. Fortunately, I got friends in low places that proxy my mead from Schramm's because they still don't deliver to Arizona, which is the only flaw that I could come up with for them. Other than that, they're unbelievable quality, great tasting meads. The tasting room experience is just fantastic. Place that if you like mead, it's like one of the meccas that you need to make a trip up there to visit it. And so I know Michael and I, when the membership stuff comes out, we are like kids in a candy store wanting to order this stuff, and we only wish we could get it shipped to us so we'd get it sooner. But like I said, we've got friends that proxy for us, and certainly one of the iconic mead makers. But I don't think Dragon Mead was mentioned, but that's another one that's up there. I mean, when I lived up there, mead, there's 5 or 6 fantastic high quality meaderies there. So it is kind of like the ground central for, some of the great meads. But fortunately, now that I'm in Arizona, we've got Superstition down here, which is a world class. And now we got the meeting room, which we'll be hearing from Michael later. I'm almost done my first bottle of his mead, so might have to go into round 2 for him. But so yeah, great that you brought us Schramm's onto the show. Wouldn't do the show justice, and cranberry is one of my favorites. I actually looking today to see what I was going to pull out for the episode, found my bottle of cranberry, and can't wait to pop it. So, all right, well, thank you, Dugout, for that. We'll stay in Michigan for now and go over to Dearborn to Greg.
All right, thank you, everybody. So I was going back and forth on who I wanted to review, and I remembered not too long ago at Holiday Market I purchased from a meadery that I had never heard of, actually, out of Ann Arbor. It's called the Bloom Meadery. And looking a little bit into their history, it looks like they opened around May of 2018. And their focus is on light, dry, bubbly, and easy drinking ciders and meads. So very sessionable meads. And mine that I'm bringing to the table today is their blueberry maple mead. And excuse me, this apparently falls under the category of a hydromel. So 6.6%. This came in a 12-ounce can. Pretty cool artwork on here. If anybody wants to check it out on Untappd, whatever, just like a blue wrapped label with like a bee on top of like a honeycomb surrounded by the plants. So it seems like a lot of their meads, they focus on what's in season at the time the honey is harvested. So this one obviously is blueberry maple. So I guess you have to figure around, July, August when the blueberries are being harvested around here. That was a perfect time to get it. So pour it into the glass here. It's very, very light, almost like a rosé wine. Very bubbly, kind of reminiscent about a cherry 7-Up to me, but this is obviously much better than cherry 7-Up. So beautiful color, lots of bubbles. As we've been talking here, the bubbles have slowly dissipated, but it's still popping from underneath down there. So beautiful looking. So first smell, you get a very good sweetness out of it. That maple definitely comes through. Very, not super maple, but it's definitely subtle enough, to tell that there's a sweetness there, but a little bit of fruitiness as well for the blueberries. Very delicious smelling. So here, I'll admit that, yes, I have been sipping on this, so let's get a new sip on it. Very light and refreshing. Very sessionable, as obviously they were aiming to do. Blueberries right there on the tongue. It's not overpowering, but it just enough to let you know that it's there. You get a nice sweetness as well. Absolutely crushable. This would be a great summer, just warm out, sitting out in the backyard and enjoying, time off from work or wherever, which obviously a lot of us are doing right now. But this is absolutely delicious mead from them. I would definitely highly recommend checking them out. I think I'll definitely be heading over to Ann Arbor to give them a visit. And nice introduction to Bloom Meadery.
All right, a new meadery on the scene up there. Not one I've heard of, but glad to hear more and more meaderies are opening up. That the mead world is expanding rapidly. So all of you guys, anybody interested, join the AMMA. I guess it's what the Amateur Mead Makers Association.
I'm wearing the shirt right now. It says the American Mead Makers Association.
American Mead Makers. So it's not just for amateurs.
Yep. So it's funny you're mentioning that because I should be at MeadCon this week, which is in Colorado.
That's where I was supposed to be too.
Yeah, Mike, are you talking about that?
Yeah. No, I was supposed to be there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, but we're here, and I love it.
You know what? Hey, at least we're still drinking and talking about mead.
Absolutely.
Making the best of a tough situation. So I'm glad to have both of you guys here. We're having our own Beer Nuts MeadCon. So, all right. Thank you for that, Greg. I guess we got Steve V and then up to Mike and I, but why don't we take this opportunity to again ask William if he's got another trick up his sleeve. You got another mead to review, William?
Yeah, I saved a really fun one for last. So this one's a Garage East mead. So if you've had any Garage East stuff, they're kind of the ones that other than Brothers Drake made the PB&J mead first, but Garage East is really famous for making a mead that's like a peanut butter and jelly. So it tastes like you're eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or I guess drinking a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So other than that, they make a bunch of really heavily fruited, very delicious meads. And this one's kind of a special one. It's called Bracatinga Forest. And so if you look it up on Untappd, you'll see it's got this, nice little like floral background, forest background. But what's fun about it, and I'm going to open it here. Let me pour a little bit in my glass. What's really fun about this mead is it is Brazilian honeydew honey, and what honeydew honey is it's kind of funny. It's not really from a honeydew plant. It is actually an excretion from an insect. So these bees, they will go and harvest this sweet secretion from these insects and then bring it back to their hive and make honey out of that. And so it's this super dark mead. It's pouring really. It's a nice dark amber color. I'm gonna try a sip of it here.
Is it like an avocado mead?
It's dark like that, and wow! But the taste is way different. Where avocados like that, really like you're expecting that. Well, you're expecting that earthiness from like avocado. This is like it's like almost like a barnyard funk is what I get from it. It's kind of really funky,
like a buckwheat maybe, or
yeah, okay, yes, like a buckwheat. It's got that little bit of funk like you would get on the nose. It's a little bit light on the taste, and I think it has some oak in it too. It's let me look at the bottle. Yeah, so it says it uses Amburana oak, so I guess it's a Brazilian oak. So it's got that little bit of oak to it too. I don't know how to describe it. I don't think I've ever had something.
No, it sounds amazing. No, it sounds great.
I've never had a honey made from something an insect secreted. I mean,
I've never even heard of that. That's pretty cool.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, I can't even imagine. Yeah.
One of my friends got this for the Tampa Bay Beer Week. He brought it back up from that, and I had to feature it. I was like, I got to save this for the show. It's kind of wild.
That is awesome. Something I've never heard of. The possibilities are endless.
That's the beauty of me right there.
So, all right. Well, thanks again for another wonderful review. Another great mead. Let's keep it rolling. We're going to go all the way to Los Angeles to Steve V now.
Boy, hello. While everyone's been reviewing their meads, I have opened mine and been sipping away, enjoying it. The mead I got is from Superstition Meadery out in Prescott, Arizona. And the mead I have is the Marion. It's a 13.5%. It's blackberry, blueberry, raspberry mead. It has it's when you pour it, the first thing you get is that fermentation smell. You get something from fruit, and but as you let it breathe, then the smell of the fruit really comes out. The color of this is deep reddish purple. You can barely see through it if you have a good pour of it. You can barely see through the glass. Just the very, very tips of it, you can kind of finally get to see through it. But like I said, as long as you let it breathe for a little bit, that initial smell kind of dissipates, and then you just get all the fruit flavor. The initial taste of it, it's you get so much of the tartness from the fruit, but it blends out with acidity, so it's not so harsh where you're like eating this like atomic sour pucker. It just kind of blends really, really. You're expecting this like, okay, God, this is going to hurt because it's going to be so tart, but as it goes down your throat and you enjoy it, it just kind of blends, and the sweetness, the honey kind of comes out right at the end. It kind of just sits there at the tail end of it. You taste that honey. Like I said, it's like kind of like eating a jam sandwich. I had they make another Superstition. They make a peanut butter and jam one, and I was comparing it, thinking, well, which one do I go with? And but reading up on it, so this one won an award back in 2016. So I figured, well, this might be the really good one. So, but I'm glad I got it. But it's a 750. So I don't really think and especially at 13.5, I don't think I'm going to be finishing this thing tonight. I don't think that's going to happen.
It's a commitment.
Yeah. So luckily it'll hold in the refrigerator and I can kind of enjoy it, the rest of the weekend. But very good, very, like I said, you have your wine drinkers and they enjoy it. This doesn't have it. It's much sweeter, but not overboard. It's not like I can't take too much of this. Just like I said, this would pair very well with some, couple of different foods and you can really enjoy this really good product.
Well, I'm really happy that you chose a Superstition mead because living in Arizona, that's the big deal out here. And Michael, maybe you can comment. Michael has a membership to Superstition. He's been kind enough to share a few things with me from some of their better stuff. So just a few comments, Mike, about Superstition and what they mean to the mead community out here in Arizona.
So I actually they're kind of worldwide. A lot of people don't know, and I think what normally happens is if something is hard to get or rare, everybody's all over it, and then once it's kind of mass produced, if you will, then it becomes like, it kind of goes to the wayside. So actually, I'm drinking tonight is the Grand Cru Berry, which was one of their bottles they have what's called the Guild, which is their special club. And so the Grand Cru Berry was a mead that they put in fundamental observation barrels, which was their normal Berry White series. And they also put some of it in Iridium Flare barrels, and then they kind of blended it all together. So it's kind of this raspberry, blueberry, blackberry, strawberry with white chocolate kind of all blended. And so to me, they're very good. They're definitely out there. And so I would say for those that are listening or folks out there, if you see them, give them a try because they're really good. And I think the things that we can't get, whether it's like the pips or the Four Fires or the hard to get stuff, everybody clamors over and they seem to kind of forget, on the wayside of the ones that are kind of always on the shelf. Schramm's is another one. Schramm's, to me, blows my mind because his balance between sweetness, acidity, I wish I could reach that level someday.
Yeah, I saw the bottle of the Berry White on the shelf of my liquor store where I buy all my beer, and I said, oh, there's a small one in case I don't like this. At least it's not a big bottle, but it was like twice as much than this larger bottle. So I'm like, all right, let's go big or go home. So,
No, you did right. No, it's a good choice, and no, I agree. And so it's great that you tried them. And so, again, they're here up in Prescott, and they distribute to all over both Europe and Asia. So that's what kind of blows my mind is how much they're distributed, and a lot of people don't even know about that.
Well, again, I'm happy that we got to have a Superstition offering on the show. So thanks for that, Steve.
ChristopherMedia.net.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done. There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done. There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth, and always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
ChristopherMedia.net.
So I guess now we're making our way to Arizona for the final few. You can tell I've been having a few meads. I'm starting to slow down
a little bit.
So what happened here is I had two of Michael's meads. I drank almost all of the first one, which is a sessionable mead, thankfully, but I saved enough to be able to review. And then I said, you know what? I have a membership to Four Fires, and that wasn't mentioned on the show, so I just popped one of those. So I'm going to quickly review that, and then I'm going to turn it over to Michael, and we're going to end the show talking about the meeting room where Michael owns his craft. So this particular mead I'm tasting is from Four Fires. They're in Toledo, Ohio, or Maumee, Ohio, just outside of Toledo. This particular mead is called Kitten Wishes, and gosh, I can't even read it. Something Kisses. I even have my glasses on. I can't read it, but it's like in cursive writing.
Does it say Kitten Kisses? Is that what? No.
Kitten Wishes and Something Kisses. So, boy, that's a first. I can't even.
You're talking about it's Kitten Wishes and Business Kisses.
That's it. That's it. That's right. So anyway, more importantly, the ingredients are it's honey red raspberry, blackberry, blackcurrant wine with natural flavors. So this is batch one. I know this got great reviews, and I also know from talking to Michael, because when I first moved here, I shared some of my Four Fires stash with him, and they have a little like a graph on the bottle, and it says from dry to sweet. This is pinned all the way to the right of sweet and then some. So Michael remarked to me that some of their meads are incredibly sweet and cloying, and this is sweet and cloying. I mean, there's no doubt about it, and they're not hiding it. They put it right on that graph. This is all the way. This is dark, sweet, dark fruit, mellow. It's just like Schramm's is a little bit more balanced. But these guys go to the extreme. I guess that's the Ohio thing. But I've been drinking.
It's called the Sugar Belt.
It's the Sugar Belt, and it is. It's sugary, but you know what? It tastes fantastic. So I'm holding it up to the light. It's ruby red, dark, deep ruby red. You can see through it, but it's pretty dark. So I'm going to take a sip. It's got. I detect the blackcurrant is probably the most prevalent of the fruits, but it's raspberry. The red currant adds some tartness, but the tartness is way overshadowed by the sweetness. I mean, this is a dessert sugar bomb. It's just loaded with sugary fruit. Your dentist probably would hate you, but boy, I mean, I opened a 375 of this. There's no way I'm finishing. It's not because of the alcohol. It's more because of it's just too sweet. And that's not a knock on it because it's delicious. I could see if you had 2 or 3 people to share this with, this would be perfect. Open a bottle of this and everybody has a nice glass. It's just loaded with flavor. Tons of fruit, but definitely on the sweet side. And as others have said, sugar bomb. But I really wanted to include Four Fires in the show. I got a membership there like a year before they opened the tasting room even. So I've been with these guys since they were just like, I think they started out of a garage. It even says on their bottle that they started out of a garage. And I remember picking up my member bottles at the beginning. I drive down to this little like industrial park with, they rolled up the garage door to get my bottles out. It looks like an episode of where the storage wars. So that's where these guys started from, and now they have a tap room. Of course, as soon as I moved away, they opened the tap room, and I hear they're doing really well. I hope they're able to survive the climate we're in now. I'm sure they will, but just want to shout out the Four Fires are for the 4 founders of the meadery, and they're just guys like you and I that decided to go with a dream and pursued their dream, and they're doing great things. So if you're into Toledo area or have access to Four Fires, I highly recommend them. Some of them are sweet like this, but not all of them. They have other stuff. We just had some new meads come out, some French toast stuff and some toasty with cinnamon and more of a traditional mead with cinnamon. So, every meadery is going to have a variety of stuff. And if it's too sweet for you, this particular one, that's fine. There's plenty of people that want it. But I'm sure that there's something, if you go to their tasting room, that you will enjoy. So cheers to Four Fires. And now I'm going to finally be able to turn it over to Michael Fry. So welcome, Michael, and tell us all about the meeting room and your background and what you're doing down in Sonoyta, Arizona.
Sure. Thank you. So just like you said, I'm like everyone else. I was a home brewer. An opportunity to kind of present itself. Where we're located is in Sonoyta, Arizona, which is considered air quote wine country. So we have about 15 wineries. We are a winery, which most meaderies and cider locations are. And so we get a lot of the folks, going back to the sugar belt comment, most of the wineries are really dry. And so our meads are usually about semi-sweet. A lot of people think they're too sweet. So it's kind of hard to find that balance. But like you alluded to, we try to give a little bit of a variety. But it was myself, two other partners kind of got together. Barbara makes the fruit wines. I do the meads and ciders. And then Kylie, she does all of our graphic design and kind of runs the tasting room. But we're pretty small in comparison. If folks were thinking of opening their own meadery, I'd recommend that they maybe check it's public record for other wineries on how many gallons that they do produce each year that they're taxed on, which kind of gives you an idea of how much to set up shop. Once we kind of set up, we were new and unique, so it kind of took off. Of course, we get the people that come in and say, neat, what, is this a deli? No, this is mead, and we have to kind of educate them. So a lot of our stuff is pretty simple and basic. Our biggest seller, which I believe you have, is the Space Cowboy, which is basically a raspberry session mead. We do a blueberry mead, and right now we're getting ready to roll out like a cucumber lime. And so we do a Moscow Mule. And so we're not really doing anything crazy or unique like a lot of other folks are, which is great. I love them. And definitely I'm a member in Lost Cause. I'm a member in Superstitions. I'm with you with the Four Fires as well as the Shrams. And so I definitely love to try what everyone else is making. Not so much that I want to use their ideas, but it's just like, you can look at the flavor Bible, which kind of gives you all these combinations to combine and make. But I'm always amazed at how people construct stuff. So for us, having been only open about 6 months, we're more in the lines of educating and just trying to teach other folks, what is mead, and kind of starting simple. And as we're kind of building maybe a local fan base, if you will, we're going to start ramping it up and probably do our own kind of clubs to kind of offer for those that are more, whether they're craft beer enthusiasts, mead enthusiasts, even cider enthusiasts. We're going to try to, ramp that up and maybe do some special stuff for those folks and bring folks in to do guest brews like, hey, hold a competition, you win, you kind of brew your stuff on here. But it's really building up. And what I've learned over the last few months, we've already doubled production. So within the first 2 months, we produce about, we have a 5-barrel brew system. And I use SS BrewTech tanks that I have, a couple of different tanks along with flex tanks. And we've already doubled capacity. And I think we're up to about 30 barrels. And so we're nowhere near like, a Melavino or a Moonlight or those, bigger guys. But talking to Billy Belts at Lost Cause, I used to live in San Diego. So I was in Quaff. I kind of knew of Billy. I didn't really know him when I was there in the club, but later, after that, we kind of started talking when I started going the mead route. And a lot of the folks had started out with systems, and I kind of saw how they had their setups, and it kind of helped us kind of set up what we wanted and where we want it to go. So we're really in the initial phases. We're just trying to make I guess in terms of what everybody else is doing, we're doing basic meads, air quotes, but we're just trying to put out a quality product so that we can build that mead fan base and kind of grow it so that, maybe they have ours and they're like, okay, well, what else is there? And so just like, the other folks that were here on the podcast, maybe they'll reach out to them or they'll start doing some online, shipments and so forth to kind of really build that kind of mead world, I guess, that we want to have. And that's kind of where we're at.
Well, I certainly enjoy my trips down to Sonoyta for these meads. And I want to first say, you mentioned Melovino, one of my all-time favorite meaderies. And full disclosure, I do have a past professional relationship with them, representing them when I lived in Michigan as the state broker. But Sergio does some wonderful things, and he's a great asset to the mead community. He's the president of AMA and also does a podcast, ironically, at the same time we record ours every Wednesday night. So I could never really have him on because he's doing his own, but he really helps a lot of people in the mead community, and I believe he's even helped Michael with, advice and recipes and so forth. So shout out to Sergio and Melovino. Probably my all-time favorite mead is his Murder of Crows, which unsurprisingly to most of you, there's black and pink peppercorns in it. It's a nice spicy mead there, but and also his Midnight Jack. So that being said, we're going to review my favorite of Michael's, of his staple ones anyway. It's called Space Cowboy. It's the raspberry draft mead. It's sessionable, thankfully, because I drank almost the whole bottle well before it was my turn to go. 6.8%. It's a raspberry mead, and I'm going to just sample it and briefly describe it to you. Really, really nice nose. You get a lot of fruit, and you can tell there's a little honey sweetness, not a lot. So I'm tasting this, and keep in mind I just had that sugar bomb from Four Fires. It's 14%. This is half that at 6.8, and it's much more palatable. And again, not a knock on the sugar bombs because that's what a lot of people like. But this is when you're out here in the desert in Sonoytas, in a pretty remote part of Arizona, a beautiful part of Arizona with lots of, where normally you see a lot of desert and cactus. There's a lot of meadows and like cattle, and it's really a different world down there compared to even just a half hour away where I live up in Vail. But this is just easy drinking, sessionable, great fruit flavor, the raspberry. And whenever you go to the tasting room, I always look around, and I believe this is probably got to be your number one seller, Mike.
It is, yeah. So I think if you put raspberries in anything, it'll sell. so it kind of goes to, so for those that are into mead making or looking or home brewing or whatever, I'm actually doing a talk for the American Homebrewers Association, and it'll be a mead talk. But one of the things is adding fruit, and so you can add fruit in primary and kind of get that fermented fruit flavor, or you could add in secondary and kind of get all that full raspberry flavors. And so for us, we kind of do raspberries in secondary to kind of give that raspberry flavor.
Well, it's delicious. It's sessionable. It's got full of flavor, yet it's not cloying in it by any sense of the word. It's just a real easy drinker and just great flavor. And it's not a surprise that it's the number one seller. It's whenever I go there, it's always a staple. And I may get samplers of some of the other meads, but I always get a big pour of this because it's a lovely mead. So great job on that one, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
So
I have found out that the 6.8s usually sell a little bit better because of price point. Because whenever you get the price points, honey is more expensive, and so it's usually easier to push those, even though the margins are a little bit lower, but definitely better to sell.
Well, and also for a warm climate like we have here, this is it's good to have a sessionable, refreshing. It's refreshing. You can drink 2 or 3 of these and be fine, and it quenches your thirst, whereas the sugar bombs really won't do that. But I do want to mention one other mead that I'm not going to open. I bought the last 2 bottles of these and promised one to Uncle Pete. Uncle Pete was here and met Mike when he visited Arizona several months ago, and Mike was raving about this mead that he was making, and I promised Uncle Pete I would get him one. And the last visit I paid to the meeting room, I bought the last 2 bottles of this, so I was able to keep my promise to Uncle Pete. But I had this other one, and I've had enough mead for the night, so I'm not going to pop it because it's 17% ABV as well. But it's a really special mead that Michael created. I think it's probably a one-off, isn't it, Mike? Or will you make this again?
Well, only if we can get the honey. So the honey was a basswood clover, which I believe comes out of Ohio for those that live there. And so the honey was so unique, fermented it out, and actually I put it in a Corsair whiskey barrels, which is out of Nashville. They have I want to say it's a triple smoked whiskey that they make. And so this was, that honey, which was super special. I'm from Nashville. And so I got a Corsair barrel shipped out here and then put it in there for about a year. And it was pretty amazing. I thought it was amazing. And it sold out really fast. That was when I learned, like, put anything in a barrel, it'll sell. And so
true.
We're trying to get more barrels. But that was probably one of my favorites for sure. And it sold out.
So it is called Basswood and Clover, aged in triple smoked Corsair whiskey barrel. The notes on the bottle: honey notes of moderately sweet honey with hints of mint and cinnamon, collected from central Minnesota basswood trees and the sweet blossoms of clover. So I got batch 1, bottle 13, OF 72. I'm not sure what that means. Michael does. What's the OF mean?
What? What does it say there? OF 17? I think that was from the barrel.
72, okay.
Oh, 72. There's 72
it's either
total
72
bottles.
or 7.2. Okay, there it is. Oh, that's OF. Batch number 1, bottle 13.
Of 70.
So there's only 72 bottles.
Yeah, so you've
Uncle
got
Pete,
2 of the 72.
Uncle Pete is usually one of our regular beer nuts on the show. He's not with us tonight, but he'll be very happy to know that there is one that I promised to him that I got. It should really read Battle 72 because I got 71 and 72. Literally bought the last 2 available for sale. So just want to say how much I enjoy having the meadery. It's only about a half-hour drive to go down there. Beautiful area to go to. Nice patio there. Nice big tasting room. Michael's usually there and always willing to take people in the back and show them around and educate people. So great things you're doing down there, Mike. I'm hoping that you have something that you want to review.
Well, I had that Grand Cru berry I was kind of drinking on. We kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. Yeah. And so that's the one that was in the fundamental observation barrels and the iridium flare barrels. It was all kind of blended, and it's finished. It was amazingly. It was good. It was sweet, but not overly sweet. It was of the dessert quality. And I guess what I would say is, for your listeners and even you and your folks that are part of the podcast, if sometime down the road you guys ever want to put together like a mead idea or something you guys would like to do special for your group, we could definitely do that in our tasting room. We could have you or some other folks in and probably put something together and make it and maybe get it out to folks that listen to your podcast and or your regulars that are on here at any time.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. And that's a call for a road trip, Dugout.
Sounds awesome, man.
And Greg, you too. Everybody, come on down. Come on down and see us in Southern Arizona. So we can also visit our friends over at Tombstone, who we just had on a few episodes ago. So great things happen in Southern Arizona, so come visit us. Well, all right, everybody. I want to just go offer anybody that wants to make any final comments. Anybody want to chime in? Thanks to our. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say thank you so much for having us on here. I mean, really appreciate you beer folks looking at mead. It's really a cool thing to see. A beer podcast feature us mead folks. So thank you.
Well, you know what? That brings me to a question that I hope to ask anyway, and you just prompted my memory. I noticed that, a lot of people say, well, mead is just, wine fermented from honey instead of grapes. Why do you think it is that craft beer connoisseurs usually are more interested in mead than wine connoisseurs? Because clearly your product appeals more to craft beer community than it does to the wine community. Anybody have any explanation why that might be?
Yeah. I'm really glad you asked that question, because it's I mean, in my 10 years of mead making, and I'm sure Mike, also you, I mean, like we see this too, and it's kind of this interesting effect. So in North Carolina, which in my opinion we're like 10 years behind like our neighbor state Virginia, and as far as winemaking goes, don't quote me on that. For winemakers, I'll get in trouble. The thing is, you have the old guard, right? You have these winemakers who do it the old way. They kind of are used to the winemaking in a given region, and you kind of do also have this new, and I mean really new, guard of winemakers in a region. Like we have Plebe Urban Winery out in Asheville. We have Jones Vondrell. Sanctuary Vineyards, that's out at the coast towards Outer Banks. And these folks are really receptive to us as mead makers. But in general, I think the beer crowd, just with the craft beer explosion that's happened over the last, 20 to maybe even 30 years, I think experimentation and trying new things has always been something in beer. And I think they're just people know what beer is. They want to dive into all sorts of cool stuff. And, when you have a bottle share, people don't really bring wine to a bottle share, but I think with mead, it's kind of a fun little experiment. And that's why I think a lot of craft beer people get into it. I'm sure Mike could probably weigh in on this question too. Absolutely.
No, I agree. I see that. And definitely I was a beer brewer first, brewing beer. The dream was to own a brewery. Obviously the summers here are like 100 plus, and I started getting into mead making, and just the opportunity presented itself, and entered Mazer, entered some other competitions, started winning there, and I was like, hey, maybe this mead thing is really a thing, and I really got into it. But I do feel like a lot of, I don't know, maybe there's two schools in the mead world. There's like those of us that were craft brewers that were kind of like mead makers, and there's those that are like, hey, I'm all about the Vikings and the ancient ways. And so there's kind of two groups within the mead world, but I do see that definitely in the craft beer world, and even on Untapped. I mean, you see a lot of meads being checked in and followed, and those are from the craft beer folks, air quote. And so yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like I just think it's just a new crowd. It definitely exploded. So the number of meaderies went from whatever it was, 10 years ago, 50 to now like 400 plus, and there's those that are in planning, and I don't know the exact numbers, but I also now see hard kombucha is now the new thing. Like that's another one that's taken off. And so it's almost like whatever you can ferment is going to be the next new thing, maybe.
Well, thanks for those answers, guys. And I guess got one more quick mention, and then we'll head to Mexico City as we do at the end of all our shows. But Mike, I just want to, I know you're personal friends. There was some discussion about some of our amateur mead makers, and I know one of the best, if not the best, is Carvin Wilson. And I know that you're good friends with Carvin, and he lives here in Arizona. Could you just give a little shout out and tell us a little bit about Carvin and the great things he does?
Sure. So Carvin, I've known Carvin, God, it's been maybe 6+ years. And so Carvin lives up in Phoenix. I'm down here in Tucson, actually Vail, near where John lives. And so Carvin, I met him actively in Arizona Society of Homebrewers. Him and I were both homebrewers again. He kind of got into mead about the same time I did. He definitely gives back a lot to the community. And to go back one, him and I were at the UC Davis course for advanced mead makers, and we kind of joked how we weren't going to open our own commercial meadery, and here I did it. And he, of course, does not have any desire, but he definitely promotes mead. He goes around the country. He helps support the not only at the Mazer Cup, offering the tables for those that can't afford to promote their meads, but he runs the Modern Mead Makers group that's on Facebook. He's one of the moderators, and so he's definitely very active in the community and gives a lot. And I think the guy has like 200 plus honey varietals in his house, which is crazy. And he's continually making stuff, and you're thinking like, this guy, yeah, it's pretty amazing. But yeah, he's definitely giving of the community, helps support the community in any way, and just a great friend to have.
Well, awesome. Thanks for talking about him. I didn't think that this episode would be worthy without mentioning it. So a great way to wrap up the episode. Thank you so much, William and Mike, for joining us. Great to have you on and sample your great meads. Ross, I'm going to be hitting you up for the next hot pepper mead that comes out of there. Anything with habaneros in is a friend of mine. And Mike, I'll see you early and often down at the meeting room. So thanks again, everybody, for listening in. And I'm going to turn it over to Chris for the where to find us and where to download our episodes, and then he can turn it back to me for our trip to Mexico City.
I hope I still remember how to do this. It's been a while. We are on Twitter at Beer Nuts Podcast, on Instagram at Beer Nuts Podcast if you would like to show us what you're drinking. Make sure you're listening to us. The list is longer of where you can't listen to us, which I like. We are on ChristopherMedia.net, of course, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spreaker.com, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you get a podcast, we are there. And I'm guessing going to be a lot more activity now that none of us can really leave our house. It's going to be a big podcast boom here, not just for us, but probably in the medium here in the next few months. But it's perfect social distancing. We're all in a different location, but we're all still celebrating together. So that's the cool thing about this show. So I'm guessing a lot more shows from us will be coming from you in the future. So, JR, I believe it is time for us to go to Mexico.
All right, everybody. Well, as they say in old Mexico City, AMF.
ChristopherMedia.net.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth, and always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Hey, which glasses look better on me?
Oh, what's this?
Zenny's 3D virtual try-on. Pretty cool, right?
I don't know about the purple cat eyes.
I think they're fun. What about these tortoiseshell glasses? Or these rimless sunglasses? Oh, what about these clear frames?
Wait, are those prices real? Do they have glasses for men?
Yep. They also have affordable blue light glasses.
Seriously? At those prices? Get them all.
I like where this is going.
Zenny.com. Quality prescription glasses starting at $6.95.
ChristopherMedia.net.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.